Welcome back. This is Signature Morning on Signature Television. Just so you know, something that we're following for use in Abia State. The Abia State Ministry of Health has reacted to the hospitalization of some persons who attended a free medical outreach in Abariba or Hartfield local government area on Saturday, saying that the distribution of drugs to the public by uncertified persons was without the authorization of the state government. The Commissioner for Health, Professor Enoch Obunaya Uche, who said this in a press release on Sunday, said that the organizers of the medical outreach did not obtain approval from the state government before embarking on the exercise. He therefore announced that any medical outreach without authorization from the Ministry of Health is illegal and can put the health of other people in jeopardy, warning that those who do so would be made to face the full wrath of the law. That's some development that we are
really sad coming from
following.
Abia State, because I would expect the Office of the Commissioner of Health, should get these people that distributed these drugs to those citizens. I mean, distributing drugs that you're not even certified before distributing it to the public is really, really bad. And we're hoping that get better. The citizens, those that took the drug, we're hoping that they get quick recovery.
Yeah, we're hearing that the amount of persons who actually took those drugs and used them were rushed to the hospital afterwards. We are not sure the number, but we're hearing that it's in the neighborhood of between 20 and 50. So the full extent of what the issues are, what they are facing, is actually particularly not yet known. But we are following the development and we'll bring you up to speed. I really don't understand the idea around distributing drugs that are uncertified, really, because again, we know that these medical outreaches come at a very low cost. They come, bearing, these kinds of drugs. I'm talking about diabetes drugs. We talk about drugs for malaria, typhoid, and the likes. And sometimes they come for free. And so because of the situation that we are facing in this country, everyone is looking to at least feed themselves. So when you hear that next door there's an outreach and there are free medical tests, free medical checkups, and of course free drugs, I mean, you would want to check it out. But I mean, having to hear this afterwards, it's really heartbreaking.
There was a report last year talking about a report that happened, I think, somewhere in Southeast, I'm not going to mention, that they distributed expired drugs for free to people.
Wow.
Expired drug and they were cut. These are the things that the Office of the Commissioner of Health, should do to make sure that they regulate all these people who are coming out to distribute drug or even do free screening for people out there. All right, we're going to be talking more about it, bringing you up to speed, like you said, about what's happening in Abia State concerning that particular news. But this morning, we have right here in the studio Dr. Pat, and she's here, already looking so beautiful.
Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Pat.
Good morning.
Yeah, we'll be talking about hard times in relationships, how hard times, affect, or the effect of these hard times on relationships. She is the former station manager of Solid FM. Glad to have you.
Thank you, my dear.
It does
Thank
look
you.
like the hardship is not telling your.
You see, everything is packaging. We all have to learn to package one way or the other. And as far as I am concerned, hardship has always been here. What we are really looking at is maybe the percentage, the increase. But even the Bible acknowledges that the poor will always be with us. So when I hear hardship, there was never a time growing up that you will not hear Ife Silike. Ife Silike means things are really rough. And I recall that my late dad, there was somebody who came to him and he was saying, have you started molding blocks? Are you going to remain a tenant for life? What do you mean by that? We don't even have enough money for our regular food. And he said, there is never a good time. You take off, you start off, and you keep going until you get there. And it was a very important lesson in my life, because at the time we bought land. I think the only money in our account at that time was the money we used for paying for the land. When the money for the rest of the project was going to come. We didn't know. But one day at a time, suddenly we see that we have roofed the property, and a couple of years down the road, we moved in. But you know, some youngster will see you in a particular building and they say, I want to. That's so wrong. You want to get somewhere without doing the work or the the person you're looking at, they all have a story. Every human being. I know a bit of you because you were in some other place before you got here. The only thing that is permanent in life is change. But that is one of the things we are not so quick to adapt to or adjust to. And it's so sad. But again, in my little way, I believe that life is about choices. Not just choices, smart choices. If you don't make smart choices, you're going to be down. So when I saw this topic, I started laughing. I said, okay, what do they want me to come and tell people about? How to manage themselves in bad times, relationships?
That's it. I mean, again, not many people know how to do that because, like it or live it, sometimes the amount of monies you have in your pockets actually tells how much you're going to smile during the day. You can't tell somebody who hasn't eaten today.
Somebody who is broke. Someone who is broke.
You know, that Nigeria is getting better or that tomorrow is going to, he hasn't eaten. They're telling him that, I mean.
When you're talking about eating, are we talking about caviar, salmon? There's always food here. It depends on where you want to place your hands. There is so much in relief markets, new markets, that is affordable. I remember back then, how many people used to pound fufu in their homes? Not a lot of people. There was a need. People wanted, there was more demand for akpu. And you know why? Because the dietitians began to talk about akpu having a lower glycemic index than gari and pounded yam. So there was now a shift from those of them who had issues with sugar. And everybody's grabbing akpu. But how many people? Because I recall seeing that akpu process. You know, you bring it, you cook it the first time, you pound it, you put it back, and then you bring it out again and pound it the second time. Now, who gets time for that kind of thing? So somebody has keyed into that, and now they are calling it Santana, Abi.
Yes.
They make Santana small wraps that you can go and buy. So if people really want to tell themselves the truth, there's something always good coming out of hard times.
Right.
The only thing is that the bad seems to kind of cover up a lot of things. But there is always something good. There's something you can pick. There's something you can learn. Like right now, we don't care anymore. If you're in band A, you're careful. Because you can put 50,000 and it will finish in less than 1 week.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All the ACs in my house now are just... So I use fan, and I'm not dead. I'm managing. That is the way to adjust. Hard times should not be a reason for families to get into turmoil, children to be in where they shouldn't be. So adjust. I started with a family. I have 4 children, for instance. And at the time we started, my husband and I plus the 4, no be 6. And then you add 2 helps in the house, 8. And then you have some unwanted relatives, want them or leave them, they will be there. It's part of our setup, extended family. So you have like 10 people living in your house. But level where I dey now, it's just my husband, I, and 1 grandchild. And I hired 1 hand to be in the house. How many? 4. So I cannot take on as many as I used to back then. Because if I could, there are people who are still saying, my son is coming for, what do you call it, NYSC. My son just got a job. Can you? These days are not the days when you just throw your gate open without prior notice. Because I cook on a regular basis. 4 people, if I call it 3 because the small child is still dependent on cereals. So the food is like snack for him. The major meal for him is Cerelac and all that. So we need to adjust. So no be somebody go tell you, shut off your freezer at night. Shut up. My husband has become police. As he goes to bed, the next thing you see somebody get up, he's going down the stairs, he's shutting off every light. And sometimes you know you can go to bed and they have taken light. And you don't even know which of the bulbs or which of the light points are on. He creates a police out of himself because he's the one that regularly goes to buy that token. Yeah. So he doesn't want anything around it. Then the other thing he looks at is somebody you can have a help in the house. They put kettle with water on the gas cooker and they enter bathroom. And then the water will be boiling and your gas. So we keep a tab on a lot of things now. There's no room for waste.
Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the challenges. What are those challenges that you think that couple or families face in their relationship because of this particular hard time? But you mentioned that this hard time have been in existence, but it does look like it's harder right now. So how do you think these hard times now impact relationships?
Well, everybody should have a bit of understanding. In fact, somebody once told me, I'm into all these couple counseling. I say, what is it that men really want? Sometimes I don't know what they want. You're sitting with them in the place of mediation. And you can't tell, you can't pick. This is a demand that he's making in order for things to go well. But the man says to me, the man in a man dies the day he can no longer provide for his family. How many women understand that? That the man in your husband or whoever has died because he sees himself as a failure. I know the Bible even makes it worse. He says, any man that cannot provide for his household is what? Beautiful. No be me talk am, now you dey talk am. That is the kind of scripture we are quick to quote. Right. But there was a time he was happening. There was a time life was a bit okay, he was providing. Then if for some reason, because there are a lot of job losses, if somebody cannot pay salary, and every month the man comes home with a story, it becomes a sing-song, and sometimes the women don't believe it. Maybe he has told her a couple of lies in the past. So everything that he's saying to her now, she's putting it under a microscope to make sure that what you're saying is correct. So it shouldn't really be a problem. It is something I can handle with a bit of understanding. And you know why this is happening a whole lot? People no longer marry their friends. They marry the size of the ATM machine in the man's pocket. Because I see Charles coming up. What you are assessing, maybe every time you see him, he's dressed properly. Now, fine face, so no money, but no pimple. So a lot of young people will see his packaging and say, this one correct. So you come back and you see that, oh boy, no get shishio. Now, ordinary packaging where they package. But leave that is packaging for him. Because even the Bible says a man shall come and help. How are you going to help if you have nothing? Because sometimes I throw a tantrum with families pushing their daughters to go and get married without something that they can put on the table. It is disaster. If a woman comes to a union with something, no matter how small, and the man comes in with his own, we won't have all the turmoil we have. And then half the time, in this climate, in this setup, yeah, but you have to be mindful. Like, I have 4 children. There was a time I had a woman that had 8 children always hounding me for money. Mommy, I go, ni. She said, I need to put I said, Mommy, you're getting. She said, I have more money than yourself. And I have 4 children, and I stopped. I thank God that he gave me 4. Then you continue to roll out babies like you're a baby-making machine. And then every morning, the man doesn't have money, And everything you're doing is like, even in fact, if the man had hypertension, if I don't die, because sometimes you go just wage him for door. You're not going anywhere except anyway, the man no hold shishi. He doesn't have. The man is a driver, not even chief driver. Driver where he works. Is he a general manager? How much money is he supposed to have? But the only thing I don't like about the guy is that, yes, you can do this. There are people who do their driving official job in the daytime. When they get back, they rest more. They go carry higher purchase, keke. And they do it in the evening as a way of. He's not that, but you look at him, age too is not on his side. As we are talking now, he's 75.
Wow.
Technically, he's still supposed to be working. So part of the problem we have is that we don't plan. The Oyibo man, from the day they put to bed, they have a savings account for the child. They have a college account for the child. How many of us do it here? It's when the time reach, fire service approach, you go to this school, oh, I can't afford it. You can't afford anything because you didn't plan for it. But if at the time you had that child, you open up an account and then have something on your account that says, put 10,000 or 5,000 in this account every month. By the time that child is of college age, you have enough money to pay for his business without having hypertension. So it's planlessness.
Right. I've heard a lot of people say things like 70% of the time, what causes strain in marriages is actually basically lack of funds. That if you can take care of monies, more than 70% of the problems in marriage and conflicts within, marriages will be solved. Is that true?
I don't believe that. Conflicts are inevitable. You haven't you seen rich people who have conflicts? It's no longer money. Haven't you seen all these multi-billionaires and suddenly you wake up one morning and their wives pack up their bags and go? There is much more to life than money, especially if you're like me and you believe in yourself and what you can do. And you believe in the dignity of labor, that nothing is too low. If my back is against the wall, man, I'm going to fight and bring food to the table. I'm not going to wait for any man. If he doesn't do it in court, guinea get me. In fact, there was somebody who was, whining back and forth. And she was in her own situation herself. She was in a domestic violence environment because when the guy is pushed, he pushes back with his face, unfortunately. He will slap, he will kick. The next thing you know, he throws away the girl's bags. That a man just wakes up. But he don't see you finish. Now see finish be that. And you see the bag they're bringing out on Agana bag. It's not suitcases. So there was one Nana one day forward. Let's say, is this all you have in this guy's house? She said, it remains some items inside there. I say, you are funny. In all the time, more than 10 years that you've lived with this man, what have you brought to the table? She said, Mommy, like how? Like she married early. I said, was it not your choice to marry early? The last time I checked, Daddy got her pregnant. I said, beautiful, clap for yourself. The last time I checked, pregnancy is not an airborne disease. It's something you purpose in your heart to go and do something and then something will happen. So it's not, there are people who have money and there will still be wahala. But having money and being able to pay your bills would help. It will kind of douse. Yes, it can. But it's not the do it all and see it all. There are people who still have. How do you begin to deal with a man or woman who is very insincere, who will not keep to their vows? That one to na money. When people are in the right places and doing the right thing, when they get into this era where we are, they're not going to fight, but they will bring things down. Like I'm telling you, somebody has become police in my home, shutting down the lights because suddenly they put up in band B originally One morning we wake up, they say you're now in band A. And there's nothing you can do about it. What do? Adjust. I have a generator that uses diesel and one that uses petrol. Did anybody tell me to back out from the diesel generator? That diesel generator is just an edifice there. In fact, I told somebody, looks like we're going to sell this generator. I don't see the price of diesel coming down anytime soon. Can you manage Benu Ifena? And now they carry this one that they call solar inverter. Is it cheap?
It's not though.
Yeah, it's not cheap. And then over time, you're going to still change the batteries from time to time. Is that time that you're going to hear Angwe? Because when they're putting it, they are washing your head. But by the time you reach maintenance for that your inverter and solar, you're just going to say, they don't explain them well. So it is not enough. But you see my advocacy in this kind of situation. Because the people should marry their friends. It's so hard for your friend to look you in the eye and throw you under the truck. Except you have done things that she put inside freezer for you. Because if there is anything that women do, they know how to put something in their database. So as they waka, they come. They are bringing up and say, you remember? You remember me? Where is I've forgotten all that. Can't you delete the thing now from... She will not delete it. She might delete it and she will not empty the trash. So occasionally she will go there and bring it all up. So if you're nice and kind to your partner, I haven't said give her money. Be kind to your partner. When you hit bad times, she's going to be there. She's not going to run away. But she will be there. And when I say, especially when you had change in your pocket, you know that's when men get lawless. When they see kili money in their pocket, yeah? The woman is like, they talk anyhow, do anyhow. So when the tables turn, the woman is going to now talk anyhow and do anyhow. Somebody said that leadership in the home goes in stages and phases. Phase 1, the man is in charge. And he's doing like this, raising shoulder.
And there's money.
And there's money. Phase 2, the woman takes over. Where that time your resources are going down. And you have to respect yourself. Phase 3, the children are in charge. They tell the two of you both need to go and sit down somewhere. We want to take it from here. And what do? You take it from there. Because that's just how it is. I'm at that stage now where my children are basically in charge. I'm not in charge. My husband is not in charge. And guess what? When you're talking to them, the first thing you hear is say, Mom, I'm no longer that small child.
Right. I mean, you've giving us some overview about supportive parents and how you can behave within an environment, even without asking the question, because it's part of the questions to be asked. But beyond that, I wanted to ask further questions around seeking help. How do you get help from friends, especially now that a lot of persons are in...
Who are you going to get help from?
I mean...
Okay, you see somebody and you think you don't enter their pocket. And then when you go, they have something. Because everybody is working within the limits of what they have. I can see you, Charles, and I say, this guy must carry 10K inside his pocket. And we bring out your wallet and all you have there is 1K. Maybe 1K for something, maybe buy lunch or something. So you cannot do that. Like I said, the only thing you can do is seeking help. You should be prepared to take crap. Because you win some and lose some. And in seeking help, please have a deadline. Do not go and think that every time you go to this person, they get tired. They get weary. I get weary. If I prefer to be the one to, on my own, look at you and say, this person looks like they need something. There are times that there was one season, that was when I knew that Nigeria was bad. Almost every morning, I'll hear somebody knocking on my gate. And I'm looking up and I say, yes, hello, who is that? He say, Mommy, I'm Angie, Marom. So I'll tell my girl, go and open the gate. Let's see what he wants. Mommy, I go hunger. So I had this kind of guest several times. And I was the lady captain for Lady Golfers, Lady Golfers. And so every time we're having events here, we're eating, we're drinking, we're dancing. And I changed the narrative. I started packaging a charity outreach. My dear, come and see people weeping that day. Some said they had no hope where food was going to come from for the next 24, 48 hours. And then suddenly they receive a call. Because I told the ladies, please bring your security, your nanny. Do not come and collect the food and put in your house. I know it's interesting. Look, the package was interesting. 2 bags of yam, rice, crayfish, cartons of, what do you call it? I don't want to call the trade name. You know, this clickly thing that you people eat from packet, noodles. So, cartons of noodles, 1 carton for every family. Several tubers of yam for each family. 1 painter crayfish for every family. And so on. We packaged it like that. People were, I wasn't even around, that's the irony. I wasn't in the country when I was packaging this event. I was outside. But I had to make the contacts I needed to make. And the people who received the items were the people who needed them. So, guess what? It was because of the constant knock on my gate. Because usually when they enter, she has told you, you don't know me, but we're in the same parish. So already that's a big thing on your chest. Somebody who is in church with you comes to you and says, I am hungry. And then you give them food. I say, go and give them food. They finish giving them food. He say, call Mommy, let me say thank you. When I come in, he say, Mommy, I have 4 other people in the house and there's no food. And I'll tell the girl, I beg, go inside the pantry. Give him some raw food. So, is it hard? It's very hard. But some will reach out. But some are too like, they will start talking about me. Do you care what people say about you? When you're hungry, when your stomach is rumbling, and your children have nothing to eat. In fact, one that touched me more in that season was a woman, a widow that had 5 kids. 5 kids. And she said that morning when we distributed some things, all she had in her wallet was 500 naira. It wasn't enough to even buy okpa that will go round. Except you buy it and then begin to cut it in pieces. Then suddenly the food arrives. The woman just dobale and began to praise God, say, Chukwu Kidi. And then ran out, Catholics and Blessed Sacrament. She went to the church and laid down before the Blessed Sacrament and began to thank God. Oma don't even tell you because I did it in that one. I did it in the church when I was leading some groups. So that one, I did it in such a way that I didn't want the people in our list to come to the place where I didn't want that because then when I get them before. So I called the leadership of the various zones. Give me the names of those who had it. And you are going to come and collect it and send it to their homes. So that they don't come here and say, Echakwam. I thought that this person was somewhere up there. So they come here. So all this car way they carry around. Okay, they drive them again self. That is when they begin to pick that you're hitting hardship. So the average Igbo man, Charles, Igbo man, Igbo woman, they carry shame small.
True.
They will rather die than own up that this is happening. In fact, somebody told me, was it my dad? He said that this beggar thing came after the Civil War. That before the Civil War, who are you, an Igbo man? Ibula fele, and you stay on the streets to beg for what? Arms? He said it's not an Igbo thing. But after the Civil War, there were people who had all kinds of injuries, and the families could not cope. That was the origin. You go through a place like Oji River axis, You see them on the road, those who were amputated and were on wheelchair, they'll stay there, and then people were going there to give them money. But today there is an epidemic of beggars everywhere. In fact, the first thing I say to you when you're asking for alms, I'll look at you first, assess you. 2 hands, they there. Two legs, they there. Why do you think that standing in the streets, what are you teaching your children? Is not in our tradition, but it has become a regular feature. Everywhere you go, you see beggars. Balloon Nikita carry food in a food warmer and go to any of these major street junctions. Before you bring the food out, come and see the crowd.
Yeah.
That will tell you how bad. But I don't know what we're going to do about it. It's sad.
People say that adversity, bring or bond couple together. So I'm wondering, is that
About Kwezioku, adversity, if you're not careful, will divide. Because when you were saying I love you, die, was adversity there? How many people do you see go and love a man?
They say for better, for worse.
These days they say for better and better. For worse, for go. That is what you hear. And I am sorry, your generation, you people don't have as much patience as my generation. My mother's generation even had more patience. In fact, they are the people who you hear Dibun Didi. Ha! Which kind Didi? Marriage should be enjoyed, not endured. That was the doctrine for us. You enjoy marriage, you don't endure. The churches are not even preaching that. Do you know that? When all they're talking about is prosperity. And then you come in, they say if you sow tithe, if you sow seed, if you do this and do that, your life will get better. So it shouldn't, but it could. If both of you are on one page, that is the most important thing. Are you both on one page in this thing you have called marriage? Or is it just something of convenience for the two of you? My mates are getting married, I need to marry. My mates are having children, I need to settle down. When you have that mindset, you're not getting married for the right reasons. And you're going to hurt when the push comes to shove. It shouldn't. But ideally, when people are friends, I keep using the word, when people are friends, no matter what they see, they stick it out together.
So on the final note, what do you say generally to the public, those who are in the middle of a conflict, whether it's financial, whether it's family induced, whether it's personally induced, or whether it's just one-on-one conflicts with their spouses or even their kids at home generally? Well,
if you have situations like that, part of the problem we have here is that when people are not naked in the streets, they're not crazy. There are plenty of people who are crazy and in our homes. So when you have problems like that, the first thing to do is to go for help. People like us manage conflicts. I'm a certified mediator. But if you tell somebody you are going to have to pay like some fee, a token to see me, I say, when you have your malaria and whatever else that they call it, don't you pay the doctor? But this one is a doctor that will take care of your mind and take time to listen to all the things that this person is talking, that person, that makes sense out of it, and then begin to take them through. They will even sign up on what they want to do next. So do not let the hard times kill whatever is left in the family. The children will be destroyed. Your spouses will be destroyed. Extended families, everybody is running away from you. It doesn't make sense. So there's a way to carry some of these things, and you can't. There are ministers also in the church, but again, what I normally would say, half the time they don't have the answer, because if it requires resources, do they have a budget? The church doesn't have a budget. So you go and tell the man, tell them the story finish. If you're not careful, I keep telling women, stop going to pastors and priests to narrate the problem you have with your spouse. When he wants to do empathy, that empathy might enter another lane that you're not prepared for. When you have a thing like that, go to somebody of the same sex. And I say the same thing to men. Don't come to me if you have a problem, except you're coming with your wife. And then we sit down and have a meeting and resolve it. But at hard times going to remain here much longer, yes. Because I don't see, nothing is changing really. All the grammars, speak it here, speak it there. They kept telling us everything will get better. Has the fuel gotten better?
It hasn't.
I saw Dangote publish that he crashed fuel price. 29 on Yabu crash. Crash fuel price. I was excited. On reading it, I saw the price has come down from 1,000 Guinea one to 970. On Yabu crash. 970 is a lot of money to pay for 1 liter of fuel. The only thing we have in this country.
It is. I want to say a very big thank you, Patundu, for your time. Truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Charles. It's good to see you again.
A pleasure. A pleasure. We should have some conversation around some program like this, maybe on a larger scale.
That's fine.
Okay.
When you're ready, just one phone call.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for being part of the program. And by the way, we are connecting to a particular interview we had with the member representing Isuzo and Mr. Paul Namchi. He did some medical outreach in different locations across Enugu East and Isuzo Federal Constituency. And of course, we had that report and we played that for you. Of course, I know most of you caught up with that last week. But now we're going to have an interview with him, specifically talking about how he fared, because he was one of the proponents of 6-year single term for governors and for presidents. And just recently, the House of Reps struck it out, how he felt about it and what necessitated that thought around proposing for a 6-year single term tenure. Do stay with us. We'll be right back afterwards.